In the grand pantheon of automotive legends, there are the rock stars, the icons etched into our collective memory. They are the fire-breathing supercars, the impossibly beautiful sports cars, the titans of the racetrack. And then, there are the unsung heroes, the quiet architects of our automotive world. Take a look at this, a 1962 Ford Cortina, a symphony of straight lines and unassuming angles. In a field of peacocks, it's a humble sparrow. Chances are, if you saw one today, you might barely register its existence. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't boast of blistering speed or opulent luxury. And yet, I'm here to tell you that this simple, honest-to-goodness family car is one of the most revolutionary vehicles Ford ever conceived. This isn't a story about raw power. It's a story about brilliant, paradigm-shifting intelligence. It's the story of how a car, born from desperation and designed with breathtaking cleverness, didn't just become a bestseller, it fundamentally altered Ford's DNA for decades, leaving an indelible mark on the very concept of the modern automobile. So, buckle up, because today we're peeling back the layers of this forgotten masterpiece. We are going to uncover the 10 secrets that made the 1962 Ford Cortina a quiet giant, a global phenomenon, and an engineering masterstroke hiding in plain sight. Topic 1. Project Archbishop, a high-stakes race against time. To truly understand the genius of the Cortina, we have to travel back to the dawn of the 1960 seconds. Post-war Britain was finding its feet, and the family car was no longer a luxury, but a necessity. Ford of Britain found itself in a precarious position. The market was a battlefield, and they were being outflanked. Stalwarts like the charming Morris Minor, the dependable Vauxhall Victor, and the sturdy Hillman Minx had captured the hearts and wallets of the nation's families. Ford's existing lineup felt dated, and the pressure from head office in Detroit was immense. They needed a game changer. They needed it fast, and it had to be a knockout success right out of the gate. Failure was not an option. Dramatic music begins to build. Use fast-paced editing with shots of blueprints, clay models, and engineers in discussion. Host. In an act of corporate audacity, Ford initiated a top-secret mission codenamed Project Archbishop. The goal? To design, engineer, test, and mass-produce an entirely new family car from a blank sheet of paper to the showroom floor. The timeline? An almost suicidal 20 months. In today's world, where a new model can take 5 years or more to develop, this time frame is unthinkable. It was a Herculean task that demanded a complete rethinking of the automotive development process. There was no time for indecision, no budget for elaborate experimentation. Every single decision had to be right, the first time. This immense pressure became the crucible in which the Cortina's core philosophy was forged, a philosophy of radical simplicity and ruthless efficiency. How they pulled it off wasn't just good management, it was a stroke of genius that would define the car. Topic 2. The Gospel of Less is More, Engineering an Icon. So, how do you build a revolutionary car on a shoestring budget and a breakneck schedule? You don't over-engineer it, you outthink it. The Cortina's creators adopted a design mantra that would become its greatest strength: less is more. This wasn't just about cutting costs, it was about intelligent reduction. The first and most critical battle was against weight. At a time when many cars were slowly getting heavier, the Cortina was an exercise in automotive minimalism. With a dry weight of just 1,710 pounds, or about 775 kilograms, it was one of the lightest sedans in its entire class. Show a graphic comparing the Cortina's weight to a modern compact car to give context. Host. Ford's engineers called their method the minimum metal for maximum space philosophy. They obsessed over every single component. They used thinner gauge steel where possible, without compromising structural integrity. They simplified the chassis design, trimmed away every ounce of unnecessary ornamentation, and questioned the inclusion of every bracket and every screw. This relentless pursuit of lightness paid off in a cascade of benefits that the average family could feel directly. A lighter car needed a smaller, more fuel-efficient engine. It accelerated more briskly. It put less strain on its brakes and tires, meaning lower running costs. For a family on a tight budget in the 1960 seconds, these weren't just engineering stats. They were real, tangible savings every single week. It was a car designed not for the showroom, but for the realities of everyday life. Topic 3. The illusion of space, a masterclass in packaging. Now, you'd think that this obsession with lightness and a compact exterior, the car was less than 4 meters long, would result in a cramped, claustrophobic cabin. But step inside the Cortina, and the laws of physics seem to bend. This is where the true genius of its design becomes apparent. With a relatively long wheelbase of 98 inches for its overall size, the engineers pushed the wheels to the corners, liberating a surprising amount of interior volume. The seats were cleverly designed. They were slim to maximize legroom, yet remained comfortable and supportive. The rear bench wasn't a mere suggestion. It could genuinely accommodate 2 adults in comfort, or 3 for shorter trips, a rare claim for European compacts of the era. The thin pillars and large glasshouse created an airy, open feel, more akin to a much larger sedan. And then there was the trunk. It was a revelation. Deep, wide, and with a practical flat floor, it could swallow a family's holiday luggage with ease. In an era before hatchbacks were common, some Cortina models even offered a folding rear seat, a premium feature that transformed the humble sedan into a versatile load hauler. It was a masterclass in packaging, a car that felt bigger on the inside than it looked on the outside. Topic 4. The beating heart, the unkillable Kent engine. At the very soul of the Cortina was its power plant, the legendary Kent 1.2-liter engine. This wasn't an engine built to win races or shatter speed records. Its initial output was a modest 48 horsepower, but what it lacked in outright muscle, it more than made up for in character, reliability, and sheer brilliance of design. The Kent was a masterpiece of serviceability. In a time when the average owner was far more likely to perform their own maintenance, this was a godsend. Everything was simple and easy to reach. The spark plugs, the carburetor, the distributor, the belts, they were all laid out in a logical, accessible way. You didn't need a team of specialized technicians. You just needed a basic set of tools and a Saturday afternoon. This simplicity made it tough, dependable, and cheap to run. But its story doesn't end there. The Kent engine was so fundamentally well designed that it became the foundation for a dynasty. It was bored out, tuned up, and powered a whole generation of iconic Fords, from the Escort and Fiesta to the sporty Capri. And in the hands of performance wizards, it would even become a racing champion. The Kent wasn't just an engine, it was one of the most successful and versatile power units in automotive history. Topic 5. A tale of 2 suspensions, a chassis for the world. A car's ride and handling are defined by its suspension, and here again, the Cortina's designers made a choice that was both pragmatic and forward-thinking. They created a hybrid system that blended the best of the new with the reliability of the old. At the front, they used independent McPherson struts. Today, this is the standard for most cars, but in the early 60s, it was still relatively modern technology for a budget-friendly family car. This setup gave the Cortina a precise, planted feel through corners and did an excellent job of soaking up bumps, providing a level of ride comfort that belied its price tag. But at the rear, they opted for a much more traditional, rugged solution, a solid axle supported by semi-elliptical leaf springs. Why? Simplicity, durability, and load-carrying capacity. This setup was almost indestructible, easy to repair, and could handle the weight of a full car of passengers and a trunk full of luggage without complaint. This brilliant combination meant the Cortina was just as comfortable cruising on a smooth British motorway as it was navigating a rough, unpaved road in a developing country. It was a chassis built not just for one market, but for the entire world. Topic 6. The quiet revolution, bringing modern braking to the masses. In the world of automotive safety, few innovations have been as significant as the switch from drum brakes to disc brakes. In the early 1960 seconds, most of the Cortina's rivals relied on drum brakes on all 4 wheels, a technology that was prone to overheating and fading, especially during heavy use, leading to terrifying moments where the brake pedal would go soft. The Cortina, however, brought a quiet revolution to the family car segment. Starting with the deluxe models, Ford equipped it with a hybrid system, modern 9-inch disc brakes at the front and conventional drum brakes at the rear. This was a hugely significant and intelligent compromise. The front wheels do the majority of the braking work, so placing the more powerful, fade-resistant disc brakes there provided a massive leap in stopping power and safety. keeping the less stressed rear brakes as drums kept the overall cost down. This wasn't a flashy feature, but it was a deeply important one. It made the lightweight Cortina safer and more confidence-inspiring to drive in all conditions. Ford was, in essence, democratizing a superior braking technology years before it would become the industry standard. It was another example of the Cortina's small, smart choices making a very big difference. Topic 7. The driver's connection, a proper gearbox, and a simple view. The experience of driving a car is about more than just its mechanical parts. It's about the connection between human and machine. And the Cortina's interior was designed with a beautiful, functional purity. First, the gear shifter. Instead of the vague, column-mounted shifters common in many family cars of the era, the Cortina featured a crisp, floor-mounted 4-speed manual. It was a small detail that made a huge difference. It felt sportier, more direct, and more engaging. The throws were short and precise, making it a joy to shift through the gears, whether navigating city traffic or enjoying a winding country road. Then there was the dashboard. In an age that was beginning to flirt with complexity, the Cortina's instrument panel was a masterpiece of restraint. It told you only what you needed to know: a large, clear speedometer in the center, a fuel gauge, and a few essential warning lights. There was no clutter, no tachometer, no unnecessary distractions. The philosophy was simple: the fewer things that can break, the better. This minimalist approach not only reduced manufacturing costs, but also resulted in a dashboard that was incredibly durable. Decades later, many of these simple, honest dashboards still work flawlessly, a testament to the enduring logic of keeping things simple. Topic 8. What's in a name? The romance of the Alps. We've explored the engineering brilliance, but a car's success also hinges on something far more emotional: its identity. And the Cortina's name was a marketing masterstroke. Most British Fords of the time had rather functional, even dull names: the Anglia, the Consul, the Zephyr. For their new car, Ford's marketing team wanted something with flair, something that evoked a sense of style and aspiration. They found their inspiration high in the Italian Alps, in the glamorous resort town of Cortina d'Ampezzo, host of the 1956 Winter Olympics. The name Cortina was perfect. It whispered of snow-capped mountains, thrilling ski slopes, and sophisticated European style. It was short, memorable, and sounded far more exotic than its humble price tag would suggest. By choosing this name, Ford performed a kind of marketing alchemy. They weren't just selling a car, they were selling a small piece of a continental dream. They turned a budget-friendly family sedan into an object of desire, proving that sometimes the story you tell is just as important as the product you build. Topic 9. The metamorphosis, from humble sedan to racing legend. For all its virtues as a sensible family car, the Cortina's story has a spectacular final act. It's a transformation so dramatic, it belongs in the realm of superheroes. This is where the humble sedan becomes a motorsport immortal. The catalyst was a collaboration between Ford and a small visionary sports car company, Lotus, led by the legendary Colin Chapman. Chapman saw the potential hidden within the Cortina's lightweight, well-balanced chassis. The result of this partnership was the Lotus Cortina. The transformation was breathtaking. The dependable 1.2-liter Ken engine was replaced with a fire-breathing 1.6-liter twin-cam powerhouse, nearly doubling the horsepower to 105. The rugged rear leaf springs were swapped for a more sophisticated coil spring setup. The chassis was reinforced, and aluminum panels were used to reduce weight even further. The result was a Jekyll and Hyde machine. It looked like a Cortina, but it moved like a purpose-built race car. On the racing circuits of Britain and Europe, the Lotus Cortina was a giant killer. In the hands of racing gods like Jim Clark, it danced through corners, famously lifting its inside front wheel in a display of incredible agility. It dominated the British Saloon Car Championship, cementing its place in motorsport history. This incredible success on the track cast a halo over the entire Cortina range. Suddenly, the sensible family car was also the sibling of a champion. It was the ultimate validation of a brilliant design. Topic 10. The secret identity, the V8 muscle car hiding in a family sedan. We've seen the Cortina as a sensible family car. We've even seen it transformed into a nimble racing legend by Lotus. But the Cortina platform was so fundamentally robust, so brilliantly adaptable, that in one corner of the world, it underwent its most shocking transformation of all. Forget the precise, high-revving Lotus. We're going to South Africa, where they had a different philosophy. There is no problem that can't be solved with more cubic inches. Meet the Ford Cortina Piranha V8. And yes, you heard that correctly, this wasn't a one-off backyard project. This was a factory-sanctioned, limited production monster, sold directly through Ford dealerships in South Africa. The tuning firm Basil Green Motors, with Ford's official blessing, performed an unholy alliance. They took the lightweight Cortina body and shoehorned in the same engine that powered the iconic Ford Mustang, a thunderous 5-liter, 302 cubic inch Windsor 5.8. The result was pure, unadulterated muscle car madness in the shell of a family sedan. The Piranha produced nearly 290 horsepower, sending it from 0 to 60 miles per hour in a blistering 6.7 seconds and onto a top speed of over 140 miles per hour. In the early 1,970 seconds, those weren't just fast numbers, they were supercar numbers. It was a machine built to dominate the endless highways of South Africa and, more importantly, to win on the racetrack. And win it did. The Cortina Piranha was so dominant in the South African Saloon Car Championship that it won an incredible 52 out of 53 races, forcing the organizers to change the rules just to give the competition a chance. This car is perhaps the ultimate testament to the Cortina's design. It proves that the humble chassis, engineered for lightness and efficiency, was also strong enough to handle nearly 6 times its original horsepower. From a 48 horsepower grocery getter to a V8 powered racing champion, the Cortina wasn't just one car, it was a chameleon, capable of becoming whatever the world needed it to be. So, the 1962 Ford Cortina? It wasn't the fastest, the most beautiful, or the most luxurious car of its time, but it might just have been the cleverest. Through a radical commitment to lightweight design, brilliant packaging, dependable mechanics, and a touch of marketing magic, it became more than just a car. It became a post-war icon, a global success story, and a template for the modern family car. It proved that a humble, affordable vehicle, when executed with intelligence and purpose, could change the world. From the daily school run to the top step of the racing podium, the Cortina showed that sometimes, less truly, is more. The story of the Cortina is a celebration of brilliant design in an everyday object. And stories like these are best when they're shared. That's where you come in. We want to build a community here of people who appreciate the history and the soul behind the machines. Did you, your parents, or your grandparents ever own a Ford Cortina? Or perhaps one of its rivals, like a Morris Minor or a Vauxhall Victor? What are your memories of these cars that shaped a generation? Share your stories in the comments below. We read every single one, and your experiences are what bring this history to life. If you enjoyed this deep dive into an unsung automotive hero, please consider giving this video a like. It really helps the channel, and subscribe so you don't miss our next journey into automotive history. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you in the next one.